Hi, this is Case Adams, and this is your microbiome gut check. Hi, let's talk about supplementing probiotics. Some say that supplementing probiotics will reduce our resident strains of probiotics. That simply is not true. Supplementing probiotics will increase our resident strains because supplemented probiotics will compete with and eliminate bacteria that compete with our resident strains. Therefore, supplementing probiotics will increase our resident strains. While we're supplementing the probiotics, they will last about 2 weeks in our intestines, and during that time they will improve the environment of our intestines, allowing our natural strains to grow hardier. Let's talk a little bit more about supplementing probiotics. A more convenient way to consume probiotics is through supplementation. There are several forms of probiotic supplements. Are they the same? Do they deliver the same therapeutic doses? No. Probiotic supplements can come in vegetable gelatin or enteric-coated capsules. Vegetable capsules contain less moisture than gelatin or enteric-coated capsules. Even a little moisture in the capsule can increase the possibility of waking up the freeze-dried probiotics while in the bottle. Enteric coating can minimally protect the probiotics within the stomach, assuming they've survived in the bottle. Some manufacturers use oils to help protect the probiotics in the stomach. In all cases, encapsulated freeze-dried probiotics should be refrigerated, no matter what the label says, at all times during shipping, at the store, and at home. Dark containers also better protect the probiotics from light. Freeze-dried probiotic powders are subject to deterioration due to increased exposure to the elements. Powders should be refrigerated in dark containers and sealed tightly to be kept viable. They should also be consumed with liquids or food, preferably dairy or fermented dairy. If used to insert into the vagina, a douche mixture with water and a little yogurt is preferable. Caplets or tablets often come with a patented coating shown by lab studies to provide viability through to the intestines without refrigeration. If not, these tablets would likely be in the same category as encapsulated products in terms of requiring refrigeration. Shells or beads can provide a longer shelf viability without refrigeration and will typically better survive the stomach's acids. One drawback with these is that they can come with less CFU quantity, increasing the cost of a therapeutic dose. Another drawback may be that the intestines must dissolve this thick shell in order to release the probiotics into the intestines. An easy test is to check the stool to be sure that the beads or shells aren't coming out the other end whole. Lozenges, gum, and chewable tablets are viable ways to supplement with probiotics. However, these are typically not so good for intestinal probiotics because they will enter the stomach unprotected and thus be killed off by the stomach's acids. However, a correctly formulated chewable or lozenge can inoculate the mouth, nose, and throat with beneficial bacteria to compete with and fight off pathogenic bacteria as they enter or reside in our nose, throat, mouth, and even lungs. This can be a great way to protect against new infections and prevent sore throats when traveling or working in enclosed spaces. The bacteria in a lozenge or chewable ease out as we're sucking or chewing, leaving the probiotics dispersed throughout our gums and throat. Manufacturing methods for lozenges and chewables may provide some stability outside of refrigeration. Still, keeping them sealed, airtight, and cool is a good idea. What's a CFU? This is a colony-forming unit. It is any bacterium unit that will viably procreate additional bacteria through either spore formation or binary fission reproduction, which is basically cell division. If we're speaking of only one viable bacterium, theoretically this can procreate a colony, so it's a colony-forming unit. But this rarely takes place in nature. Typically bacteria travel in groups and the group as a whole continues to form a larger colony. So there will typically be a distinction between the number of viable cells and the number of colony-forming units. Let's take an example. How many colony-forming units are in this slide? Yes, theoretically only one, even though there are 2 bacteria here. If those bacteria were separated, then yes, there would be 2 colony-forming units. How about this slide? How many CFUs are in this image? One might count the number of cells here, over 30, and call each a colony-forming unit. This would not necessarily be wrong, and some counting programs will utilize this system. But strictly speaking, there are only 3 colony-forming units here because there are 3 groups of bacteria in the image. The individual cells in each unit would not be going out and producing colonies on their own. This issue of CFUs is now often clarified on some label and literature as viable cells. This is the count of how many actual cells there are in a supplement or material. When considering probiotic supplement doses, a central issue is how many CFUs will get through the stomach and be deposited into the intestines. This depends largely upon the package being sent to the intestines, as we've discussed. But given unprotected probiotics such as in powders and easily broken down capsules, not many will survive. Some studies have suggested less than 1/100%, if any, will make it through for some supplements. Of course, this varies by the species as well. Hardy spore-forming species such as SPOs will have better penetration, but there is another side of the coin on this. These species can also be harder to control as well. The solution, as we've discussed, is to utilize supplement packages or foods that basically escort the probiotics through, such as the case with many probiotic foods we've discussed. Why? Because the fermented food will provide protection, as the bacteria will attach themselves within these food portions. Dairy is one of the best known of these, and those probiotic tablets that utilize dairy or vegetable oils to protect their bacteria allow for good penetration through the stomach acids. Before they get to the stomach, probiotics are typically freeze-dried in order to keep them viable. They are, in other words, in suspended animation. But once they're woken up, either by heat or by water, they'll need food and the right environment to survive. If they wake up in the capsule or packets, they might last a day or two at the most. For this reason, we should refrigerate our probiotics regardless of their package. So what's a good dose of supplemented probiotics? This depends upon the person's age, situation, and condition. It also depends upon the strain of the probiotic. Talk with your health professional about this.